The wedding was flawless. 300 guests, a five-star venue, a bride in a gown that cost more than most people's houses. And in the front row, a special seat reserved for the groom's ex-wife. He wanted her there. He needed her there not to celebrate, not to wish him well. He invited her so she could watch, so she could see everything she lost, so she could sit in her cheap dress and cry while he married someone better. That was the plan. But then a black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up to the entrance. 2 bodyguards stepped out first. Then a man in a custom suit, tall, powerful, the kind of man who owns buildings. He reached his hand back into the car, and when she stepped out, every single person at that wedding stopped breathing because the woman they expected to come crawling arrived like a queen. Now, before I tell you what happened next, check that subscribe button. If you love stories where the humble rise and the proud fall, hit it right now and turn on notifications because the payback in this story, it is going to be legendary. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday. White envelope, gold lettering, expensive paper. Aaliyah stared at it for a full minute before she opened it. She already knew who it was from. She could smell his cologne on the paper. That same overpriced cologne he used to drown himself in every morning. She opened it. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Kendrick Hayes and Vanessa Cole. The Grand Pavilion, Atlanta, Georgia. And at the bottom, handwritten in blue ink, I saved you a front row seat. Aaliyah. Come see what a real wife looks like. Aaliyah read those words 3 times. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just folded the invitation, placed it on her kitchen counter, and went back to feeding her twin daughters their breakfast. Mama, what's that? 6-year-old Arya asked, pointing at the envelope with a spoon covered in oatmeal. Nothing important, baby. Eat your food. But it wasn't nothing. It was Kendrick's final attempt to break her, and he had no idea what he was about to unleash. Aaliyah Grant was 32 years old. She lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in College Park, a quiet neighborhood south of Atlanta. She drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic. She worked as a seamstress from home, altering clothes and making custom dresses for women in her community. She woke up early every morning. She sewed until her daughters woke up, got them ready for school, sewed some more, picked them up, cooked dinner, put them to bed, then sewed until midnight every single day. No days off, no vacations, no help. Just Aaliyah and her 2 girls against the world. To her neighbors, she was the quiet woman in apartment 4B. Sweet, humble, always smiling, even when the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. They knew she was divorced. They knew the ex-husband was a piece of work. But they didn't know the full story. Nobody did because Aaliyah never talked about it. Not about the marriage, not about the divorce, not about the things Kendrick did to her. She buried it all deep inside, locked it away, and focused on her girls. But that invitation was a key, and it was about to unlock everything. And to understand why that invitation hit so hard, you have to understand what Kendrick Hayes took from her. Aaliyah met Kendrick when she was 23. She had just moved to Atlanta from Houston, where she grew up. Her parents, both originally from Ghana, had raised her with strong values. Work hard, be kind, trust God. She was talented with her hands, could sew anything. Her mother taught her, and her grandmother taught her mother, 3 generations of women who could turn fabric into art. Aaliyah dreamed of opening her own fashion house one day, a real studio, her own label, dresses on runways. But dreams cost money, and money was something she didn't have. So she took a job as an alteration specialist at a high-end boutique in Buckhead. That's where she met Kendrick. He walked in wearing a $3,000 suit that needed tailoring. Tall, handsome, smooth, the kind of man who made you forget your own name when he smiled at you. "I need this taken in," he said, looking her up and down. "But honestly, I think I need your number more." Aaliyah laughed. She wasn't the type to fall for pickup lines. But Kendrick was persistent. He came back the next day and the next and the next, always with another suit that needed adjusting, always with that smile. By the fourth visit, she gave him her number. By the sixth date, she was falling. By the third month, she was in love. Kendrick was a real estate developer, or at least that's what he called himself. He bought cheap properties, flipped them, and sold them for profit. He wasn't rich? Not really. But he acted like he was. Expensive clothes, expensive car, expensive taste. All of it financed by debt, charm, and other people's money. But Aaliyah didn't know that yet. All she knew was that this man made her feel seen, made her feel special, made her feel like she was enough. They married after 8 months. Small ceremony, courthouse wedding. Kendrick said they'd have a big celebration later when his next deal closed. The big celebration never came, but something else did. The real Kendrick. It started small. Comments about her cooking. "My mother makes better jollof than this." Comments about her clothes. "You're my wife now." "You can't dress like a market woman." Comments about her work, sewing. "That's not a real career. That's a hobby for village women." Each comment was a tiny cut, and slowly cut by cut, he carved away her confidence. Then, by the time their twin daughters were born, Aria and Zoe, Aaliyah barely recognized herself. She had stopped sewing, stopped dreaming, stopped laughing. She spent her days cleaning a house that was never clean enough, cooking meals that were never good enough, being a wife who was never enough. And Kendrick, he was never home. He was networking, closing deals, building the empire. She found out later what he was really building: a collection of women. Kendrick had been cheating since their honeymoon. Different women, different cities, different lies. When Aaliyah found the messages on his phone, dozens of them to at least 4 different women, she confronted him. His response broke something inside her. "And what are you going to do about it? Leave. Go where? You have nothing, Aaliyah. No money, no career, no family here. You're nothing without me, nothing." He said it calmly, like he was stating a fact, like he was reading the weather. And the worst part, she believed him. For 2 more years, she stayed. 2 more years of insults, infidelity, isolation. He controlled the money, controlled her phone, controlled who she could see and when. She was a prisoner in a 4-bedroom house in Decatur, until the night he came home, drunk, and raised his hand. That was the line. She took the twins and left that night with nothing but a diaper bag and the clothes on her back. No money, no plan, no place to go. She slept in her Honda Civic for 3 nights. A woman at a gas station saw her with the babies and connected her with a shelter. From there, Aaliyah rebuilt piece by piece, stitch by stitch, and she found the apartment in College Park. Got a used sewing machine from Goodwill. Started taking in alterations for $10, $15, $20 at a time. The divorce was brutal. Kendrick fought for everything. Claimed she was an unfit mother. claimed she abandoned the home, claimed the twins were better off with him. He lost on every count, but the judge awarded Aaliyah almost nothing financially. Kendrick had hidden his assets well. On paper, he was practically broke. She walked away with custody of her daughters and $300 a month in child support. $300 for 2 children. Kendrick laughed when the ruling came down. Enjoy your little apartment, Aaliyah. Enjoy your little sewing machine while I enjoy my life. And now he was getting married again to someone better, and he wanted Aaliyah to watch. 3 days after the invitation arrived, something happened that would change everything. But it didn't feel like a life-changing moment at the time. It felt like a Tuesday. Aaliyah was at the fabric store on Buford Highway. She needed thread, specifically a very particular shade of gold thread for a client's dress. She was on her knees, searching through the bottom shelf, when she heard a voice above her. "Excuse me, do you work here?" She looked up. A man stood over her, tall, well-built, dark skin with deep brown eyes that held a quiet warmth. He was wearing simple clothes, dark jeans, a plain black shirt, clean sneakers, nothing flashy. But there was something about him, something in the way he carried himself. Calm, grounded, like a man who didn't need to prove anything to anyone. "No, I don't work here," Aaliyah said, standing up and brushing off her knees. "But I practically live here, so I might be able to help." The man smiled. "I'm looking for upholstery fabric. Something durable but elegant for a project." Aaliyah studied him for a moment. "What kind of project?" "I'm restoring a classic car, 1967. Mustang, the interior needs to be redone." Aaliyah's eyes lit up. "You need marine-grade vinyl with a matte finish. Aisle 7, top shelf. They have it in 12 colors. The man stared at her. "How do you know that?" "I'm a seamstress. I know fabric the way a chef knows spices." He laughed. A deep, genuine laugh that made something flutter in her chest. "I'm Malik," he said, extending his hand. "Malik Thompson. Aaliyah. Just Aaliyah for now." They walked to aisle 7 together. She helped him pick the right vinyl. They talked about fabric, about cars, about Atlanta traffic, about nothing and everything. It was the easiest conversation she'd had in years. When they reached the register, Malik turned to her. "Aaliyah, I know this is forward, but would you like to get coffee sometime? There's a place around the corner that makes incredible Ethiopian coffee." She hesitated. Every instinct screamed, "No." The last man she trusted destroyed her. She had walls now, thick ones, built from pain and reinforced with fear. But something about Malik's eyes. They were patient, kind. They didn't demand anything. "Just coffee," she said carefully. "That's all?" "Just coffee," he agreed. "That's all." It wasn't all. Not even close. But neither of them knew that yet. The coffee turned into a second coffee, and then a walk in Piedmont Park. Then dinner at a small restaurant where the owner knew Malik by name. Each time Aaliyah learned a little more. Malik was from a Ghanaian family like her. He grew up in the Bronx, moved to Atlanta. He said he was in business, something about consulting. He was vague about the details, and Aaliyah didn't push. She wasn't interested in his money. She'd married money before, or the illusion of it, and it nearly killed her. What she was interested in was how he treated her. He listened. Actually listened, not the fake listening Kendrick used to do, where he'd nod while scrolling through his phone. Malik put his phone away when she talked. He asked questions. He remembered details. He remembered that Arya liked strawberries but not blueberries, that Zoe was afraid of thunder, and that Aaliyah's favorite color was gold because it reminded her of her grandmother's sewing kit. He remembered everything, and he never once made her feel small. One evening after their fourth date, Aaliyah was sitting on her couch, sewing a dress while the twins slept. Her phone buzzed. "Malik, I had a wonderful time tonight. Your daughters are incredible. You're raising them beautifully. Good night. Aaliyah." She stared at the message, read it 3 times, and for the first time in years, she cried, not from pain, from being seen. Aaliyah thought Malik Thompson was a regular man with a consulting business. She was wrong. Very, very wrong. Malik Thompson was the founder and CEO of Thompson Capital Group, a private equity firm that managed over $4.2 billion in assets. He owned commercial properties across 7 states and had stakes in 3 tech companies, sat on the boards of 2 major foundations. His personal net worth was north of $800 million. He lived in a 12,000 square foot estate in Tuxedo Park, one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Atlanta. He had a private driver, a personal chef, a security team of 6, the classic car he was restoring at the fabric store. It was one of 14 cars in his private collection. Malik Thompson wasn't rich. He was a tycoon, but you would never know it by looking at him. He dressed simply, drove himself most days, usually in a 10-year-old Toyota Tacoma that he refused to sell because it runs fine. He ate at small restaurants, not 5-star establishments. He tipped 40%. He knew his barber's children's names. He carried his own groceries. And because Malik had learned something early in life that most wealthy people never learn, money attracts masks. His first wife taught him that Delilah, beautiful, charming, perfect in every way until the money ran out. Malik's firm went through a rough patch. A major deal fell through. For about 6 months, things were tight by billionaire standards. Anyway, Delilah didn't stick around to find out if he'd recover. She filed for divorce, took what she could, married a tech CEO in California. She never loved Malik. She loved his lifestyle. After that, Malik changed. He stopped advertising his wealth, stopped wearing the $5,000 watches, and driving the luxury cars. He wanted to find someone who loved him. Not the money, not the status, not the lifestyle, just him. And then he walked into a fabric store on Buford Highway and met a woman on her knees searching for gold thread. A woman who helped him pick upholstery vinyl without knowing he could buy the entire store. A woman who agreed to coffee, just coffee, with a man she thought was ordinary. That's when Malik knew he had found what he was looking for. But he wasn't ready to tell her yet, because he needed to be sure. Not sure about her. He was already sure about her. Sure that when the truth came out, it wouldn't change what they had. So he waited. He kept showing up in his jeans and black shirt, kept driving his old Toyota, kept being the simple man she met in aisle 7. And with every passing day, he fell deeper in love. Not with her beauty, though she was beautiful. Not with her talent, though she was gifted. With her strength, the way she woke up every morning and chose to keep going when the world had given her every reason to stop. The way she loved her daughters with a fierceness that made his chest ache. The way she sewed late into the night, turning fabric into art, turning pain into purpose. Malik Thompson had managed billions of dollars, but he had never seen wealth like Aaliyah's spirit. That was the real treasure, and he would protect it with everything he had. Aaliyah tried to throw the invitation away 3 times. Each time she pulled it back out of the trash. Not because she wanted to go, because she was afraid of what it meant if she didn't. "He'll say I was too scared," she told her friend Alara over the phone. "He'll tell everyone I couldn't handle seeing him happy." Alara sucked her teeth. "Girl, forget Kendrick. That man is trash in a tailored suit." "I know, but what?" Aaliyah was quiet for a moment. "I need to close this chapter, Alara. I need to walk into that wedding and prove to myself, not to him, that he doesn't have power over me anymore. Then go, but go on your terms, not his." That night, Malik came over for dinner. He played with Arya and Zoe for an hour, building a blanket fort in the living room that somehow involved every pillow in the apartment. After the girls went to bed, Aaliyah showed him the invitation. Malik read it. His jaw tightened when he got to the handwritten note at the bottom. "Come see what a real wife looks like," he read aloud. His voice was calm, but his eyes were steel. "He's trying to hurt me," Aaliyah said quietly. "One last time." Malik set the invitation down. "Do you want to go?" "I think I need to." Malik nodded slowly. "Then you're going, but not alone. And not like this." "What do you mean?" Malik looked at her, really looked at her the way he always did, like she was the only person in the world who mattered, Aaliyah. "There's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you weeks ago." Her stomach dropped. Here it comes. She thought the truth. He's married, he's broke, he's leaving. Every fear she'd ever had lined up in her chest like soldiers. "What is it?" she whispered. Malik took a breath. "I'm not a consultant." Silence. "What?" "I'm the CEO of Thompson Capital Group. It's a private equity firm. We manage a lot of money. I have a house in Tuxedo Park, a security team. I'm wealthy. Very wealthy." Aaliyah stared at him. "What?" "I didn't tell you because I needed to know that what we have is real, that you liked me, not what I have. And I know now. I've known for a while." "How? How wealthy? Does it matter?" "Malik," he paused, "my net worth is around $800 million. Aaliyah's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "You've been driving a Toyota. It's a good truck. You ate leftover jollof at my kitchen table." "It was excellent jollof, Malik." He reached across the table and took her hands. "Everything between us is real. The coffee, the walks, the blanket forts, every moment. I just happened to not mention a few bank accounts." "A few?" Despite herself, Aaliyah laughed. It burst out of her. Loud, messy, uncontrollable. She laughed until tears ran down her face. And then the tears became real. "Why me?" she asked. "I have nothing. I'm a seamstress in a 2-bedroom apartment. I drive a Honda Civic with a broken air conditioner. Why would you?" Malik squeezed her hands. "Because you helped a stranger pick fabric without knowing or caring who he was. Because you put your daughters before everything, including yourself. Because you've been through hell and you're still standing, still sewing, still smiling." He wiped a tear from her cheek. "Aaliyah, I've met women who wanted my money. My name, my lifestyle. You're the first woman who wanted my time. Do you know how rare that is?" She couldn't speak. Malik said, his voice shifting, firmer, focused about this wedding. He picked up the invitation. Your ex-husband wants to humiliate you. He wants you to show up broken so he can feel powerful. That's his plan. Yes, here's mine. Malik smiled, and it wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a man who had crushed competitors worth billions. You're going to that wedding, but you're going as you, the real you, the woman he was too stupid to see. And I'm going to make sure that when you walk through those doors, every person in that room understands exactly what Kendrick Hayes lost. How do you trust me? Aaliyah looked into his eyes. Deep brown, warm, patient, honest. Yes, she said, I trust you. Then leave everything to me. Kendrick Hayes was having the time of his life. The Grand Pavilion was one of Atlanta's most exclusive event venues. Crystal chandeliers, Italian marble floors, a garden terrace overlooking the city's skyline. 300 guests filled the space. Business associates, friends, social media influencers Kendrick had invited to document every moment. He wanted the whole world to see. His new bride, Vanessa Cole, was everything he wanted the world to see. 26 years old, Instagram model, 200,000 followers, legs for days, a smile that was 40% real and 60% cosmetic dentistry. Her wedding dress cost $45,000. Her makeup took 4 hours. Her hair took 6. She looked perfect, and she was perfectly fine with the arrangement. Vanessa knew exactly what she was marrying. Not a man, a lifestyle, the house in Decatur, the Range Rover, the credit cards. Love, please. Love didn't pay for Louboutins. This was a business deal with wedding vows. Kendrick stood at the altar scanning the crowd. He was looking for one face, Aaliyah's. He needed her there. Needed to see her in her cheap dress, sitting in the front row watching him marry a younger, more beautiful woman. He needed that victory. The ceremony began. Vanessa walked down the aisle. Guests applauded, but Kendrick's eyes kept drifting to the front row. Aaliyah's seat was empty. His smile faltered. She's not coming, his brother whispered from beside him. She'll come, Kendrick muttered. She has to. The priest began his opening words. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes. The front row seat remained empty. Kendrick's jaw tightened. This wasn't the plan. She was supposed to be here watching, suffering. The priest reached the vows. Do you, Kendrick Hayes, take Vanessa? And then a murmur rippled through the crowd. It started at the back near the doors. Heads turned. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Kendrick looked towards the entrance. Through the glass doors of the Grand Pavilion, he could see the front driveway. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom had just pulled up. Not just any Rolls-Royce. A custom model, blacked out, the kind of car that cost more than most houses. 2 massive SUVs flanked it. The doors of the SUVs opened first. 4 bodyguards stepped out. Black suits, earpieces built like professional athletes. They scanned the area, took positions. Then the back door of the Rolls-Royce opened. A man stepped out. Tall, powerfully built, dark skin gleaming in the sun, custom charcoal suit that fit like it was sewn onto his body. No tie, top button open, confident, commanding, the kind of man who didn't enter a room. He owned it. He walked around to the other side of the car, opened the door himself, extended his hand, and she stepped out. Aaliyah, but not the Aaliyah they expected, not the broken woman in a cheap dress. This Aaliyah was wearing a custom gold gown that caught the afternoon light and turned her into a living flame. Her hair was swept up in an elegant updo. Diamond earrings caught the sun. Her makeup was flawless, subtle, sophisticated, radiant. She looked like royalty. She took Malik's hand and stepped onto the pavement in heels that probably cost more than Kendrick's entire wedding cake. The bodyguards fell in around them, and together, Malik Thompson and Aaliyah Grant walked toward the grand pavilion. Inside, 300 guests watched through the glass doors. Nobody breathed. Kendrick's face went through 6 emotions in 3 seconds: confusion, disbelief, recognition, shock, fear, and finally horror. Because he recognized the man beside his ex-wife. Everyone in Atlanta's business world knew Malik Thompson. His face had been in Forbes, Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal. Malik Thompson wasn't just rich. He was the kind of rich that made Kendrick's empire look like a lemonade stand. Vanessa leaned towards Kendrick. "Who is that?" she whispered, her eyes locked on Malik. Not with concern, with interest. Kendrick couldn't answer. His mouth had gone completely dry. The glass doors opened. Aaliyah walked in, and the room went silent. Aaliyah had rehearsed this moment 100 times in her head. What she would say, how she would look at him, whether she would smile or keep her face neutral. But now that she was here, standing in the doorway of the grand pavilion, with 300 pairs of eyes on her, she didn't need a script. She just needed the truth. She walked down the center aisle, not fast, not slow, like a woman who had all the time in the world. Malik walked beside her, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back, not possessive, protective. The bodyguards stayed near the entrance. This wasn't their moment. Guests whispered. Phones recorded. Someone was already posting to Instagram. Aaliyah reached the front row, her seat. The one Kendrick had saved for her. She looked at it. Then she looked at Kendrick. And she smiled. Not a bitter smile, not a vengeful smile, a peaceful smile. The smile of a woman who had walked through fire and come out gold. "Hello, Kendrick," she said calmly. "Thank you for the invitation." Kendrick opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Vanessa stared at Aaliyah's dress, her jewelry, her man, and for the first time, she felt something she'd never felt before: inadequate. "Aren't you going to introduce me to your bride?" Aaliyah asked pleasantly. Kendrick swallowed. "Aaliyah, what afford to show up?" Aaliyah tilted her head. "You seem surprised. Wasn't that the point? You wanted me here, so here I am." Malik extended his hand to Kendrick. "Malik Thompson, you must be the ex-husband. I've heard a lot about you." Kendrick shook his hand on autopilot. His grip was weak. His palm was sweating. He knew that name. Thompson Capital Group. $4.2 billion in managed assets. His ex-wife was with that Malik Thompson. "Please," Aaliyah said sweetly, "don't let us interrupt. Continue with your beautiful ceremony." She sat down in the front row. Malik sat beside her. Act like they were settling in for a show. And in a way, they were. The priest cleared his throat and attempted to continue. Where were we? Do you Kendrick take?" "Wait." Kendrick held up his hand. He turned to Aaliyah. "Bad move." "Who is this man?" Kendrick demanded, his voice too loud, desperate. "Where did you meet him? Is this some kind of joke?" The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Aaliyah crossed her legs calmly. "Kendrick, you're in the middle of your wedding. Your bride is standing right there. Maybe you should focus on her. Don't tell me what to focus on. You show up here with bodyguards and a Rolls-Royce? You, the woman who couldn't even afford to fix her air conditioner? Where did you get? I got nothing from anyone, Aaliyah said firmly. Her voice was quiet, but it carried through the entire room. The dress I'm wearing. I made it myself with these hands. She held them up. The same hands you called worthless. The same hands you said could only do village work. The room was dead silent. This man beside me, Aaliyah continued, he found me. Not because I was rich or beautiful or perfect. Because I was real. Because I was honest. Because I sewed gold thread at midnight while my daughter slept. He saw what you were too blind to see. Kendrick's face was red. And this invitation, Aaliyah pulled it from her clutch, held it up. You wrote, "Come see what a real wife looks like." So I came, and now everyone here can see exactly what a real wife looks like. She placed the invitation on the empty seat beside her. The question is, Kendrick, can you see what a real husband looks like? She glanced at Malik. Malik didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His presence said everything. 300 guests stared at Kendrick. And for the first time in his life, Kendrick Hayes had nothing to say. Vanessa, however, had plenty to say. She had been doing math in her head since the moment Malik walked in. Thompson Capital Group, $4.2 billion private equity. She looked at Kendrick, looked at Malik, looked at Kendrick again. The math wasn't hard. Kendrick, Vanessa said slowly. Did you divorce this woman? Vanessa, not now. You divorced a woman who is now with Malik Thompson. The Malik Thompson. Vanessa, are you stupid? The crowd gasped. Vanessa. Vanessa took a step back from the altar. Her eyes were calculating cold. I'm not marrying an idiot, she said flatly. If you were dumb enough to throw away a woman like that, what are you going to do to me? Vanessa, stop this. No, I think I'll stop this. She pulled off her engagement ring. This wedding is over. She dropped the ring on the altar. It bounced once. The sound echoed through the silent room like a gunshot. Vanessa turned and walked down the aisle. As she passed Malik, she slowed down. Is there a card? She whispered. For business inquiries? Malik didn't blink. I'm taken. Vanessa kept walking. The doors closed behind her. And Kendrick Hayes stood at the altar alone, in front of 300 guests, in front of cameras that were still recording. In front of the woman he tried to destroy. His legs buckled. He grabbed the altar to keep from falling. Aaliyah, he whispered, please, I made a mistake. Aaliyah stood up. You didn't make a mistake. Kendrick, you made a choice. Every insult was a choice. Every affair was a choice. Every time you told me I was nothing, that was a choice. She picked up her clutch. And now I'm making mine. She took Malik's arm. I choose to walk away. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally know my worth. And it's not measured by your approval. They walked up the aisle together. 300 guests watched in absolute silence. When they reached the doors, Aaliyah stopped. She turned back one last time. Oh, and Kendrick, my air conditioner works fine now. She smiled and walked out. The video hit the internet before Aaliyah even got home. And it went everywhere. 30 million views in the first week. Every blog, every news outlet, every social media platform. A billionaire's girlfriend destroys ex-husband at his own wedding. Seamstress shows up to ex's wedding in Rolls-Royce and shuts it down. The headlines were endless, but Aaliyah didn't read them. She was too busy living. Malik officially introduced her to his world, but on her terms. No flashy galas, no paparazzi, just quiet dinners with the people who mattered. His mother, a retired teacher from the Bronx, flew down to meet her. She took one look at Aaliyah. Then she looked at her son. "This one is real," she said in Twi. "Don't you dare mess this up," Malik laughed. "I won't, Mama. I'm not talking to you." She turned to Aaliyah. "I'm telling you, don't let my son mess this up. Men are foolish, even the rich ones, especially the rich ones." Aaliyah laughed so hard she snorted, and she and Malik's mother became inseparable after that. 3 months after the wedding incident, Malik did something that made Aaliyah cry for 2 hours straight. He didn't propose. That was coming, but not yet. Instead, he took her to a building in Midtown Atlanta, a beautiful space with floor-to-ceiling windows, natural light pouring in, and 5,000 square feet of open floor plan. "What is this?" Aaliyah asked. "Your studio." "My what?" "Grant Designs. Your fashion house. I had it registered last week. This is the space, the rest, the vision, the brand, the designs. That's all you?" Aaliyah stared at him. "You did this for me?" "No, I did this for the woman who sewed gold thread at midnight. She earned this a long time ago. I just opened the door. You're the one who walks through it." Aaliyah walked through the studio slowly, running her fingers along the cutting tables, the fabric racks, the industrial sewing machines, the best money could buy. In the corner, there was a small frame on the wall. Inside the frame was a spool of gold thread, the same shade she was looking for the day they met. That's when Aaliyah broke down. She cried into Malik's chest for 20 minutes, and for the first time in her life, the tears meant something good. Grant Designs launched 6 months later. Aaliyah's first collection, inspired by traditional Ghanaian kente patterns, reimagined for modern American women, sold out in 72 hours. Vogue called it breathtaking. Elle called it the most important debut in a decade. Beyoncé's stylist called. But the moment that mattered most to Aaliyah wasn't the magazine covers or the celebrity clients. It was the night Aria and Zoe visited the studio for the first time. They ran through the space, touching everything, eyes wide with wonder. "Mama," Zoe said, tugging on her hand. "Did you make all of this?" Aaliyah knelt down and looked at her daughters. "Every single stitch." Aria tilted her head. "Are we rich now, Mama?" Aaliyah smiled. "We were always rich, baby. We just didn't know it yet." As for Kendrick, the wedding video made him famous for all the wrong reasons. His real estate clients dropped him. His friends disappeared. His social media became a graveyard of humiliating comments. He tried to contact Aaliyah 6 times. She never responded. He tried to contact Malik once. Malik's assistant responded with a single sentence. Mr. Thompson does not engage with individuals outside his professional network. Kendrick's business collapsed within a year. The properties he bragged about were leveraged to the hilt. Without new clients, the debt swallowed everything. He lost the house in Decatur, the Range Rover, the lifestyle. Last anyone heard, he was renting a 1-bedroom apartment, working as an assistant at someone else's real estate firm. The man who once told his wife she was nothing became exactly that. And Vanessa, she married a dentist in Savannah, posted about it constantly on Instagram. The comments under every post were the same. "Weren't you the one who walked out of that wedding?" She eventually turned off comments. Malik proposed to Aaliyah on Christmas morning in the studio, surrounded by fabric, and the ring was custom made, a band of woven gold with a single diamond inside an engraving aisle 7, where it all began. Aaliyah said yes before he finished the question. They married in the spring. Small ceremony, 60 guests. A garden behind Malik's mother's house in the Bronx. Aaliyah made her own dress. Gold fabric, hand-stitched, every thread placed with intention. It was the most beautiful dress anyone had ever seen, not because of the design, because of who made it. Kendrick Hayes sent that invitation to break Aaliyah. He wanted her to sit in the front row and feel small. Instead, she walked in like a queen and burned his kingdom down without raising her voice. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need anger. She just needed the truth. And the truth was this: the woman he called worthless was priceless. The hands he mocked were the hands that built an empire. And the man he thought she could never find was standing right beside her. And that is the lesson of this tale. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to see it. The people who try to break you are always the ones who can't build anything themselves. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be and letting them watch. If this story moved your heart, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because every tale has a lesson, and modern African folktales never forgets. In the tapestry of life, where threads of joy and sorrow intertwine, the story of Aaliyah Grant teaches us a profound lesson. Our intrinsic worth is an unyielding flame that no one can extinguish, no matter how fiercely they try to snuff it out. Aaliyah, a resilient seamstress, raising her twin daughters in quiet determination, faced the ultimate cruelty from her ex-husband, Kendrick Hayes. He invited her to his lavish wedding, not out of kindness, but to parade his new life and diminish her spirit, reminding her of the pain he inflicted, the insults that chipped away at her confidence, the betrayals that shattered her trust, and the isolation that left her feeling invisible. Yet, in that moment of intended humiliation, Aaliyah rose like a phoenix, arriving not in defeat but in triumph, arm in arm with Malik Thompson, a man who saw her true value when others were blind. She didn't seek vengeance with sharp words or dramatic confrontations. Instead, she embodied grace, revealing that true power lies in self-discovery and quiet strength. This tale whispers to our hearts that those who belittle us often do so from their own emptiness, unable to build what they so desperately envy. It reminds us that adversity isn't a dead end, but a forge, shaping us into something unbreakable. Imagine the weight lifted when we realize our value doesn't depend on another's gaze. It's woven into our very being, like the golden threads Aaliyah stitched into her dreams. Her journey from a modest apartment to a thriving fashion empire shows that the best response to doubters is to bloom unapologetically, letting your success echo louder than their scorn. In a world quick to judge and slow to heal, this lesson urges us to embrace our scars as badges of resilience, to love ourselves fiercely, and to step forward knowing that every setback is a setup for a comeback. If this story stirred something deep within you, igniting hope or reflection, hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications so you never miss another tale of empowerment. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's a moment when you reclaimed your worth? Let's build a community of unbreakable spirits together.